So Wade's throwing his right hand. He's doing it a little like that. Let's talk about Wade's thunder thighs, okay? His thick legs.
So just
All right, today we are doing a breakdown of the breakdown of the breakdowner, okay? That's it, if that made any sense whatsoever. Wade has been training because he's supposed to be boxing HS on Misfits. And, you know, if you're wondering, Wade and I, we've been talking, so I've seen all this footage, of course, plus more. But we can't give you the intensive breakdown. But, you know, I'm going to go off. I want to see if Wade is being honest here, okay? I'm here to do my due diligence as a brother, okay, to make sure that he's being honest about his progression, okay, without giving out too much deets, okay? I heard that, by the way. I teach students, especially teenagers, and I guess that's an abbreviation for details now. All right, let's find this footage, and then if there's anything I need to do, anything I need to break down myself, instead of doing it here, I'll do it at the dojo.
By the way, this is the first time I put on 10-ounce gloves. I was working with BJ. I've never worn 10 ounces before. They're completely different from the 16s. I mean, the protection level is far less, which is concerning.
So we're seeing a little bit of the fight nerves set in, right? The realization of the things, the 10-ounce gloves. I just got to say this, right? Influencer boxers, crossover boxers, whatever. The risk that we're taking is crazy, right? There's usually a progression, a natural progression to things. Amateur boxing, you know, headgear, 16-ounce gloves, sparring. Then, depending on where you're at, headgear and heavier weighted gloves for competition in amateur boxing. And then the minutes and the rounds, and then you work, and then the last step is like prize fighting, which is professional boxing, which is the most dangerous. And in most cases, these guys are just skipping all of that and getting right to the most dangerous stuff. Insane.
First off, the quads are popping. I'm talking 1, 2, 3, all 4 of them things. That may not be such a good thing
I was hoping he was gonna say this.
for me, and we'll talk about why in a second. But let's watch through here.
Listen, can you guys guess why? It's because, you know, when you're working out in the gym, you know, before you get there, you feel a little deflated, but after you get that pump, you know what I mean? Everything starts showing. So, I think what he's gonna say is that he's gassed. Also, this is my first time watching this, so you guys are just gonna be reacting to me, reacting to Wade, reacting to Wade. Okay, this is what this is about.
I am in a very, at least for my height, low and loaded stance. This is something that I'm trying to work on. For whatever reason, in my head, I don't think that I am bearing so much weight in a loaded position, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to have this much bend in my knee and also just have that much pressure. Look at my quads just popping out. There's a lot I'm still working on and keeping, you know, myself relaxed, and not necessarily in the way you guys would think, but keeping my legs relaxed by being in a posture that isn't so fatiguing on my back leg or fatiguing on my legs in general. That's what I'm used to, is having that kind of low stance, and like in any other sport I've played, being active and low there.
And he makes a good point. You know, you talk about being in a loaded stance.
Also, you see that
right here, okay? Yes, you want to be loaded at times, but it's like anything else. When you're learning something new and you're trying to develop a new skill or like a new technique, you're gonna like be hyper focused on doing it correct. So he's staying in the stance longer than you need to. Like in basketball, when you're playing defense, you got to be in a defensive stance and you're sliding. But you find ways to rest throughout the game. You know what I mean? You're not staying in that stance the whole time and keeping your quads and your glutes activated, because you'll just gas out immediately. There has to be some natural movement where you can recover throughout the motion.
Yeah! Make sure I teleport in, Brennan. Okay? All right, let's talk about Wade's thunder thighs, okay? His thick legs.
So just Jerry.
We're not gonna explode. False alarm, okay? That's hilarious, the context of it. I go, thunder thighs. false alarm with the gas leak. Why didn't you let me know, Brennan?
Bro, as soon as she walked, you started, and she immediately said it.
Oh, that was fantastic. What a moment. Anyways, okay. Let's get back to the serious business at hand, okay? Wade's thunder thighs that were filled with air and blood. What he's working on, right? Weight on the back foot, weight in the back foot. So he's trying to focus on it, and when you're trying to focus on something, you get like super stuck on that one thing. So obviously, all that engagement in there, it's gonna be tough to move, okay? There's an example of this. My fight with Overflow, there's a video, a clip. I'm warming up in the back with Deji's first trainers. It was his boxing coaches. And I'm in the back and I'm trying to like, kind of like, not like show off, but like be super into it. And my nerves were kind of high, and I'm like, okay, let me do this. And I was heavier because I was like 197, almost 200 pounds for the first time ever. I remember like I felt like my legs were in quicksand. Couldn't get out, right? So I was too focused on trying to be too sharp. For all of you combat athletes or any type of athlete, right? It has to be automatic, right? It's gonna be normal that it's not a bad thing if you're working on a new technique and you find yourself getting super gassed out because it's new for you. You're trying to focus on developing new skill, new habit, maybe it's a new stance, way forward, way back, whatever it may be. So you're gonna be gassed, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. However, you have to find pockets of relaxation. You gotta be able to find a way to, how can I do this thing the most efficient way possible? So how can I put my weight back, but also use as little energy as possible? Same thing with your guard. You don't want your guard to be like this, right? When people first start learning, get your hands up, elbows in, so they're stiff. How do I get my hands up and my elbows in, but use as little energy as possible? How do I keep my chin down and protect my jaw without doing this? I have to be able to protect my jaw, keep my elbows in, but then stay relaxed. And what does that mean? Use little to no energy. How do I move in an athletic stance so I'm ready to use energy, but then stay relaxed? So whenever you're working on something new, developing a new technique, focus on doing it correct, but try to use as little energy as possible. When you're trying to do something new, especially in fighting and in combat, you're trying to use power. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this right, and then, don't worry about power to begin with, okay? Focus on efficiency, economy of movement, okay? Because if you run out of energy, all the power goes away. It's gonna be useless in the end, okay? So do things right, focus on your habits, but try to do it without using any energy whatsoever.
But I want to have that twist in my hip and turn over my shot way before I finish that punch. And that's something I'm working on. It's something, me and BJ are working on. The fundamentals of a bigger, like myself, 6'4".
W analysis. He's trying to find ways to throw the right hand with more pop and more power. With other martial arts, I do karate, point fighting, or like whatever. You're looking at times to score and move. In terms of like professional boxing, which means small gloves, it's about power. It's about, being in a position where you're safe, being able to sit down and rotate and throw dangerous punches. Because if you land a right hand, right, you land a hook, or you land something that's not a jab, you want it to be significant, right? You don't want it just to like kind of pop your opponent's head back. You want it to really affect them, right? Because you're going to get few opportunities, especially when you're new to the sport. That's why power is the great equalizer. When you look at these crossover boxing, skill, footwork, and cardio is all good. But at the end of the day, if you can crack, son, that's all you need, to be honest.
Yeah! All right, let's talk power. So Wade's throwing his right hand. He's doing it a little like that. The hips going the opposite way and getting a little low there, okay? Wade's gonna love that, okay? Everything we said here, I've said to Wade, we've talked about many times, so don't think I'm hating on my brother there. But yes, power, torque, rotation. Brendan, you play baseball, right?
No. Well, no, actually I did. Only a couple years.
Okay, but I don't know why in my brain I thought you played baseball. I'm not gonna say what I'm about to say, okay? Anyway. So, think about this though. Baseball, football, I'm gonna throw some. See, my spidey senses were tingling there. I was like, so I saw him walking by.
Yep.
And that's the unreal. So I'm not doing anything crazy. So if you're gonna throw something, okay, release point. Release point is up here. Yeah? So in baseball, great example. You wanna get the thing that you're gonna, with the release point, right? You wanna make sure that you're as far away from the release point as possible to generate the most amount of torque and power. So if this is the release point, in baseball, you bring that thing all the way down here, right? If you're gonna pitch, you bring that ball. You don't wanna start here, from here to here, and then try to throw. It's not gonna have a lot of power. Same thing in football, right? You don't wanna be doing this, but you bring it back away from the release point so you can have some power and some momentum going into the release point, okay? So for a punch, the release point is when the punch is about to turn over, okay? It's not back here, and it's not on impact. That's impact, right? It's a little different from the punch. The release point is when the punch is gonna turn over. From here, I can still turn the punch over, boom, and get some power. Out here, I can't really. There's like gonna be almost nothing, right? So for a punch, to have power, I need to bring my hand, which is the thing I'm gonna hit with, as far away from the release point as possible without giving up defense, right? And people don't care about defense. That's why people punch like this when they wanna hit hard in the street, because what makes somebody look good, not look good in combat or in fighting is not punching power or punching technique. Everybody mostly punches the same. It's your ability to defend and stay safe while throwing said punch, whatever it is, right? Here's a jab. Here's a jab that looks good, right? Defending, staying safe the whole time. So how do I generate as much power as possible with giving up as little vulnerability as possible? If I want to punch with power, I need to bring my hand back. Load the hip. Load it so my hand is as far away from the release point as possible. Then turn, rotate, and then follow through, which is the finish, right? If I'm gonna throw something, I don't wanna go like this, right? We follow through and we turn through. That's why in boxing, often they'll call that backhand a fastball, because you wanna turn all the way through and also follow through. So what you're seeing from Wade, not really back behind that release point, then you're seeing little turnover and then no follow through. So you can make it, the cross kind of sounds more like a jab. You don't want the jab and the cross to be the same. Some people say the jab is like the machine gun and the cross is like a sniper. No, not at all. The jab is like you're aiming, okay? And then the right hand is like the fastball. They're not the same thing. I tap, and then wham, okay? They're not even close to be the same thing. Same thing with the hook, they go together. So it's important that when you're practicing and you wanna have power, don't go too far back. Don't give up your defense. But also, don't be afraid to follow through. Don't be afraid to turn over and turn. So I'm punching with my hip and my shoulder. And the result is the impact. So if I'm going to be punching with power with my right hand, I bring my hip back and my shoulder back. That's why everyone loves the jab cross. Why do we love jab cross, right? And not cross. Because if I cross, now my shoulder and hip are in front. I have to bring it all the way back to get power again, right? When I jab, look what I can do, right? I can disguise this and create some distance without them noticing. So now I can turn, wham. That's what we do in karate. It's the same thing. So I can punch power in boxing because it's the same type of thing. When I block or I'm holding out my lead hand, we're pulling this back. Tap before the release point, before my point of power, so I can turn and follow through and hit with a lot of power. If you want to punch with power and develop it, focus on those things. Not the jab, of course. The jab is not supposed to be powerful. It's supposed to just snap, boom. But when you're cross, coil. That's what we use in the dojo. Coil the hip, coil the shoulder, and wham, turn, follow through. For my hook, coil the hip, coil the shoulder, then rotate, wham, follow through. Don't do this if you want to have power. Okay, there's nothing there, right? You see people do this, but what they're really doing is warming up their shoulders so they can throw, boom, in their hips so I can throw, uppercut, hook, cross with my body, okay? Now come over to the back. This is kind of the hard part, working with the back. When I work with the back, sometimes I go like this. What can I do? It's hard for me to follow through because the back stops me, okay? This is why, obviously, you gotta use good protection, good hand wraps or heavier gloves to make sure you be careful with your hand. But what I like to do is I still turn the hip and the body, but I don't follow through with my hand, obviously, because that's dangerous. You can hurt your hand. So when I'm here, I still make sure I turn and get everything in front, but the glove will collapse, so I'm not doing this, right? Boom, but I still want the same punch through with my body, because often what will happen is this, where this stays back, okay? So if you want power and you're hitting the bag, tap, boom. Still make sure, boom, we're turning, boom, we're rotating. We're just not gonna get that same follow through. And when you're shadow boxing, pa, 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 turn, pa, 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 turn, pa, pa, rotate, rotate, rotate. Not this.
And I want to utilize what power I think I do have. I'm a muscular dude, and I'm athletic to a certain degree, so I want to utilize that. And,
yeah, talk to him, Wade. Talk to him. That's right, bro. Roll the clip of him playing safety. Boom.
Look at the starting place of where my head is here to where we finish. I'm off center line here. Am I as far off as I want to be? No, but there is natural head movement just strictly because, and I've talked about this.
Also, with head movement, yes, there's like 1,000 things you could always do better, right? All of us can, whenever anyone's punching, you can improve. But when he's working on something specific, you don't want to add too many things. If he's working on jab or staying more relaxed, you don't want to stay relaxed with your legs. Turn over the punch over. Also do this. Also move your head off the line. Also weave after and rotate and give me 3 feints with your foot before you do it. The more you add, the harder it's going to be. So you got to simplify things. Okay, keep it simple.
There's a happy medium between what I need to be doing and where I'm at for sure, but it's not as exaggerated as I think some people online that I probably shouldn't be reading the comments of, but sometimes I do try to.
Wade is definitely reading all of them, dude. I love that about him. I don't do it. It's a complete opposite of me. I find it funny when people post stuff, whatever. I know that he just gets down that rabbit hole, right? We're all human, and he sees one or two, and then he gets into it, and he has fun with it. And it also is probably good engagement, to be honest. So it does well.
You even hear BJ right there, stay relaxed. He can tell when I'm a little tense and I'm, trying to load up on some punches. Definitely not something I want to do. I don't want to be loaded up on any.
Yeah, relaxation is tough, right? Again, he's doing mitt work, right? You're doing mitt work, so you're focusing on paying attention to what the coach is saying. How can I improve on these things? And you're trying to improve your technique to develop new habits. So in that process of new habit development and developing skill, it's going to use a lot of energy because it's not automatic. It's not second nature. So when it's second nature, you don't think about it. It's just in rhythm. You're in flow, right? That flow state. Wade is not reaching that flow state because he's trying to develop, to improve, right? That's why I love seeing this part of Wade, because Wade, obviously, the breakdown analysis is fantastic, but he's an athlete at heart. That's why he loves doing this stuff. So to be able to see him now in the lab himself and analyze himself, and we've been talking the work that he's putting in and the level of detail that he's putting into it. I'm just excited to see his growth, and also it's good to see him doing something on his own. When you do content all the time, you're always working on something else for somebody else. It's hard to find time for your own hobbies. And this is everybody. Your personal life, you have work, you have school, you have things. Unless you do a sport or you have a hobby you enjoy, it's difficult for you to spend time and energy on things when it comes to yourself to grow and develop. So to see him do this is awesome. I love it. All right, W video, W Wade. I hope you guys got some good takeaways from this video. I think that's where I can help. I think in terms of my content, I like being able to, reflect and be involved in what's happening there, but also how can it help you guys if you care about boxing or learning to improve your skill and not necessarily fast track it, but maybe cut some corners or make less mistakes in trying to develop good habits when it comes to, boxing or whatever we're doing. But I love it, dude. I'm hyped for Wade. I've been training, which means I've just been hitting the bag more. That's all that means. Okay. Just need to get in shape. And then, you know what I mean? Gotta stay ready. 2025 is all about staying ready, so you don't have to get ready. Oos.